Hello, I'm Michael Depp, editor of TVNewsCheck, and this week I'm with Stephen Brown, EVP of Programming and Development for Fox First Run and Fox television stations, and we are talking TV. Talking TV is made possible by Making the Media, a podcast from Avid exploring the forces that shape the media, news, and entertainment business. The latest episode features Avid's Craig Wilson interviewing Ada Gronberg, CTO of Swedish public broadcaster SVT, about their pioneering role in remote production long before the pandemic, the next evolution of distributed news production, and how digital media will disrupt the broadcast industry. Making the Media is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, and other podcast platforms. Give it a try. Stephen, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Very good, thanks. And it's good to talk with you about syndication and the work you're doing at Fox. I want to start out by asking you, part of your portfolio at Fox is strategy and programming operations at Fox Soul, which is, for those who don't know it, Fox Station's African-American targeted streaming channel. I wonder, that launched, of course, during the pandemic or just before it. Can you catch us up to how that channel is evolving?
Sure. Yeah, the pandemic was. I think that the events of the last year kind of like helped us shift and accelerate what we're doing. We took a week down to kind of like reconfigure, like most people did, because we're live programming, and we were live interactive in on-site programming 4 or 5 hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
So what has come out of it is that we stayed in studio with our Fox Soul's Black Report, which is our daily news program, and then we went virtual with our other shows, Book of Sean, the Tammy Mack Late Show, and then other shows like Jeezy's Worth of Conversation and The Mix, and Claudia Jordan's show, which she has a couple. She has the Cocktails with Queens on Mondays, and then TGIF on Wednesdays and Fridays. And when we first started, we were talking about making this an live interactive kind of event every day, and even when we found out that the viewers watch us primarily as VOD content, even though we're on many streaming platforms, and what our strategy is to be on as many platforms as we possibly can. So Pluto, Peacock, Tubi, Zumo, anything with an I, O, or a U at the end, we're on, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea is we need to be where the consumer is. And so we've done that. And even though some are, like Samsung TV Plus is a strictly streaming platform, we're seeing that people watching us when they want to watch on YouTube and VOD content like on Tubi or Zumo. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of shifted some of our ideas about interactivity and community building. So some shows can be pre-recorded, even though we do them live, but we may shift in the future to do pre-recording. But then there are some shows like Cocktails with Queens and TGIF where Claudia actively reads the comments, because we don't do call-ins anymore or live in studio, but she takes comments from the YouTube stream and reads them, and they react in real time. So this I think is unique to what we do, and is unique to the idea of building a community. A lot of times broadcasters are guilty of saying, look, we know better than the consumer or the viewer, and we're going to push out, and there's no list back. And I think that is what helps to differentiate us from the competitors.
So Part of just on the live side then, so it seems like then most of the interaction is happening on social channels and sort of you're relaying that social feedback. Okay. What about the programming trajectory itself? Are you adding hours, adding more new shows as it's growing right now?
Yeah, so if you look at our programming lineup, so we do a rebroadcast of The Real and Wendy before the Black. Have just done uh, a kind of a programming content share with Black Enterprise, and we do the Black Report. So they provide programming to us, and then we become a platform to kind of amplify their message. And then we do the Black Report and our regular programming. So we're expanding. What we found in our strategy is that the 7 o'clock Pacific time or 10 o'clock Eastern time is a time for us to create our tentpole programming. So instead of doing more strip like Tammy Mack or Sean, we do, we're going to create, we are focused on and have been focused on creating more event programming on Monday through Friday.
So what's your total daily hours right now?
Gosh, well, we're all the way through, past like 10 o'clock Pacific time, because we have content that comes to us from our syndication partners, Dish Nation and Divorce Court, and also our stations. And that's one of the unique things also about our strategy, is that our stations are actually programming for us. So their programs like the I'm blanking out his name. Isaiah Factor, gosh, uncensored, out of Houston is one of our shows, and Street Soldiers out of New York is one of our shows, and then Philadelphia also provides us with half hour every day. So that's something that is unique with Fox television stations and the relationship with Fox Soul. It's a very symbiotic relationship, and that goes back to why we decided, and certainly led by Jack Abernathy, is like why we decided to create this, because we already speak to this community. We're already highly engaged with them, with our syndicated programming on our stations and just the content from our stations. We are in the community. So this is a very natural extension of that.
Okay. Now, the larger part of your portfolio, Stephen, is syndication. There seems to be a focus at Fox on game shows right now. There's Pictionary with Jerry O'Connell is debuting, I think, on Monday. Meredith Vieira's 25 Words or Less is returning. And then there's a reboot of You Bet Your Life with Jay Leno, which is debuting in September. So why this focus? Is this a counter-programming strategy to all of the entertainment shows that we usually see in prime access, and is Fox trying to zig where everybody else is zagging?
There are a lot of reasons to do game shows. One is that by and large they get the lion's share of advertising dollars. They have, if you think about it, the top rated shows are Game, Wheel, Jeopardy, and Feud. So why not be in that pack, getting those same kind of those same CPMs? The other thing is that games are utility programs, so they can be shifted all over the programming schedule. So you can play them daytime, you can play them in access, fringe, late fringe, even on overnights. By doing it as a half hour rather than an hour, it's easier for buyers to put them into their schedule. A lot of times, when other syndicators created an hour-long program, they're asking for a second run. Those are really hard. That's really hard to do when you have a limited amount of real estate in your schedule. Luckily, the Fox television stations in a lot of our markets were duopolies. So we have a lot of inventory that we have to fill. And I think that it's also strategically, it's a good replacement for sitcoms. So sitcoms are going away or have died. Right. And the way we do our games is very much in the line of Feud. They're comedy. They're heavily based in comedy. If you watch 25 Words or Less, you're playing the game, but you're laughing all the time. Pictionary, the same thing. I just watched an episode. I'm editing the episodes now. Just watched an episode, and I'm jaded and bitter as they come, and I'm laughing like crazy. So if I'm laughing, then I know the audience is going to be laughing. And the same thing with Jay Leno. Jay Leno is, here to make America feel great again, and that's and through laughter, and that's his trick card, and we're doubling down on that.
So let me ask you lastly, to take kind of a broader look at the syndication market. Going into the pandemic, there were some reasons to be optimistic there after one might rightly call kind of a torpor, but streaming seemed to pose a growing threat. What's your measure of the state of syndication right now, especially as we're exiting the pandemic and moving perhaps into a whole new set of consumption patterns?
I think I look at it in two different ways. One is that we're programmers, and we program for an audience. And I think that in the same way that Fox Soul is, the idea of Fox Soul was to be where the consumer is, we as programmers will do the same thing. So when we develop programming, we also realize that part of the exploitation of that programming is not only on broadcast but also on streaming, because that's where the consumer is going, and that's where, frankly, a lot of the revenue comes. So Divorce Court is nationally syndicated show, but the episodes, the long tail episodes, the library of those episodes continue to generate money year after year after year on streaming and VOD platforms. That has to be part of our strategy as programmers and as business people, because you're seeing the way broadcasting is going. It's declining. So create programming that's engaging but has a long tail. That's the strategy.
Very interesting. Well, Stephen Brown from Fox, thanks very much. Be interesting to see how these game shows pan out for you, and good luck.
Thank you, Michael. Really nice to talk to you.
Cheers.